Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sunday Morning Quarterback. Today we are three pastors who love ministry, leadership, and sports. Adam, it is a great day. I can't think of the last time I've had this good a day. Cowboys have a new coach. Finally, Adam, how do you feel about that?
Who's your new coach?
I don't know, but not Mike McCarthy. That's
you don't have a coach, and it's glorious because the Dallas Cowboys are so bad they had to fire their coach.
Yep, but it's okay. I'll take it. John, how's it coming in Virginia today?
It's good. Still snow on the ground here. I don't know what you guys are dealing with, but trying to dig out. And you do have a coach. You've always had a coach. Mr. Jerry Jones is the coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hold on, Joseph. Before we recorded this, I said, if you talk about this with all that's going on in the sports world, I'm gonna close my computer. You don't even ask me how I'm doing or acknowledge me. You just say, Adam, what do you think about the Cowboys?
Hey, I had to get it out early.
Look, and that's the first thing you say.
Listen, we hadn't talked about the Cowboys zero this season, so you just let me get my happiness out. You ain't gonna hear me mention them one more time going forward. Adam, how's your day going?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Nice. Well, we've all had fun playing in the snow. Let's jump in. On the front end, we're going to talk a little bit of football. We're in the middle of the playoffs and getting ready for the college championship. And then on the back end, we're going to talk a little bit about the gospel and the cultural square. And so anyway, Adam, let's jump in. Let's start on the NFL side. What caught your attention yesterday as we see Wild Card Weekend come to an end?
You know, I don't have much to say because I don't think I'm shocked by anything. I think most of the winners were the people that were expected to win, and even some of the blowouts that we saw. I think Green Bay did a decent job of staying in that game, considering they were out so many of their weapons and receivers. But here's kind of the backlash. I know a lot of people are talking about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, but I did hear them mention in the live broadcast last night about Matt LaFleur. He's been there for 7 years. He had Aaron Rodgers, you might even say like kind of peak Aaron Rodgers during that time, and now he's got, a good quarterback. How long can that proud fan base go without at least reaching a Super Bowl, which they haven't done in, I think over 14 years now. So we'll see about that, but that's kind of what's standing out to me now, after the first round of playoffs in the NFL.
Sure. John, what's that got to you?
In the NFL, looking at the landscape, I think the surprising thing for me is I really was hopeful that the Bucs would make a good run. I think if the Bucs had any kind of manageable defense out there, I think they're a couple of defensive players away from making a good run next year. Just applaud Baker Mayfield powering through some of the difficulties he had over the past and looking forward to him getting more and more confidence and control to kind of rein things out. And I would say, I think Josh Allen has played a couple incredible games, but he's also not had to make things happen. I think in the past couple of years, he's had to kind of bear everything up on his shoulders, and I thought with Diggs gone, he's going to have to do that this year. It seems that he's kind of letting the game come to him more, which I believe is a good step right now to maybe etching his name into some more historic aspects of the game. So I think Super Bowl's it's not probable, but it's likely on the horizon here. So that's just my take on it.
Yep, I think the interesting thing was the quarterback dynamic. And so, you have Jordan Love, who really, even though he's been in the league a few years, this is like his second year. And I wouldn't say he had a sophomore slump, but he showed what Josh Allen showed early on. He's a gunslinger, tries to fit too many balls, tries to, all the arm talent, but maybe his mechanics or his maturity isn't there yet. And so I think if they go two more years like that, then you might start seeing the pressure. And then Justin Herbert, a lot of people have just gawk over his arm talent. We got to keep that same Dak energy, if you will, or Kirk Cousins energy, because he's not, some rookie now. He's had a few years, and we'll see if Jim Harbaugh can rein him in. But, man, let's just talk about Jaden Daniels, man. Talk about Washington, and good for them because they have just been in the abyss for so long, but being set up to know that for the next 10 years, and I'm sure y'all's church members that are fans should feel happy that y'all have a good quarterback for the next 10 years. And you have to think, if they redrafted right now, he would be the number one pick. And so that was something that stuck out to me. Hey, let's kind of pop around.
And if the Giants draft Mr. Sanders,
Yeah.
Dak will be the worst quarterback in his division.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
With that contract.
Oh gosh. Well, yeah.
That's true, man. You guys are on the precipice of a disastrous East.
Hey, listen, I wasn't going to bring it up, but you know what? It's a good day. But hey, I really do have a question. Well, 30 seconds, Adam. We're done. I want y'all to play Cowboys GM for me. I'll start with John and then Adam. All right, John, even though Jerry's going to do whatever Jerry's going to do, if you were in charge of the Cowboys, who would you name as head coach?
If I just had anybody on my list, I would go ahead and shoot my shot with Dion.
Ooh, okay.
I would do it. I think I don't know how well he would do, but I think it would bring some energy and buzz back to a team that's just kind of floundered and had some mediocre coaches with mild and no personality. All the last three have been just bland. I think it would be an encouragement to the staff. I think people would be excited. I think they'd sign a good number of players and just have to see how it shakes out. But that's who I would pick.
Yep. Adam, who would you pick?
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, and I would die if that happened because I do love prime time, and that would really bother me if that happened.
Man.
I don't know. I feel like, what are their options? Just run of the mill, retread head coaches who have been successful but never won a Super Bowl somewhere else, or do you go to Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame or go to the college ranks? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing that none of us have a clue, because that shows how bad of a situation they.
Oh, so bad, so bad. But you know what? Yeah, you guys should be proud of me. Adam, you beat me into submission for 3 years, and I feel like I didn't have any delusion this year. My dad did.
It's on the rise, though. You're about to start hearing it leak out. Right? It was a little bit already.
Seeing a little hope.
Hey, this is the best day I've had in so long.
I guarantee you we'll hear Nick Saban come up soon or something
Probably
like that.
100%.
Probably so. Hey, but you know what? I've been discipled in my Dallas delusion. And you know what? I still think we're going to stink and we're going to be the third best team in our division. But you know what? It just got a little bit more hope. I can at least stomach a little bit more rather than Mike McCarthy. But anyway, we'll move on from there. Who knows?
Hey, let's switch gears.
Let's switch gears. Hey, I tried to. Y'all took it there. All right, Adam, here you go. Here's your first game.
Hold on. No. Let's switch gears. Let's have some fun.
Okay.
We've got some true blue Tar Heel fans. Since we're talking about great NFL coaches, I want to ask you two, how long do you think Belichick is at Chapel Thrill? And I'm so excited. How long do you think he's there, and what do you think he accomplishes as far as what's the highest, position he gets to?
John, you go first since you're closer to this.
Yeah, but weird. You know what? I'd like to. I'm bouncing back and forth between a 2-year, 3-year stint and the long haul. I believe he'll be at UNC at least 6 years. I think this might be his last stop. Wow. I think he's going to see some success. I really do think he's going to see some success. I would project in the next 2 years, maybe 3, he's going to win the ACC outright. And I think within 3 years' time, he can be in the playoff with the transfer portal wide open. And you're talking about playing with Bill. Like, what are you talking about? He's already pulled a quarterback from Texas. I mean, it's just a matter of time, right? Yeah. And so I think within 2 to 3 years, they could be in the playoffs, and I don't think that's delusional. On my end.
Yep, totally agree. One thing that people aren't talking about as much, because you get Bill, you get a guy named Michael Lombardi, who I listen to religiously with the GM Shuffle. Dude knows his football. The only way I think he leaves less than 3 years is if he wins too quick. Like if he gets lucky, they make a run, and he checks that box off. I can see it. But Lombardi said he's not as covetousness about the all-time record as some might think, because he's a team guy. And so I don't know. I could see him. I agree with John. I could see him staying long-term, planting roots, because Lombardi's not going to go there for a one and done unless they just turned it around so quick and they were a package deal for a GM and a coach. So.
And I would add to the fact that I think that there's going to be some clamps put down on the portal. and the NIL,
Mhm.
which I think is going to play towards Belichick's strength after he loads the roster through
Two,
that.
the 2 year thing.
Yeah, I think they're going to put a clamp down, and I think within that 2 years, they're already going to have a pretty good amount of players stacked up there before they do that. But I think once they do that, that'll be a long tenured appeal without the burnout and frustration of having to keep players around, keep players happy.
Right.
Let's not forget, one of Bill's great gifts is he can identify talent that people overlook. He's had a history of that. I mean, we got Wes Welker. We could read through all the list, and
Yeah.
so I don't think that's just in the NFL level. I think that's going to be even at the collegiate level, and so I think he's going to do well recruiting.
Yep,
Yeah.
and he's going to set y'all up for future success too, because whenever they leave, it's going to be a nice built system. So, Adam, I'm sure that was the Christmas gift that you didn't know you were getting after a long Panther
I would
season.
have.
Never
Who would have
guessed.
ever imagined? But here we are.
Oh, I remember.
Notice
Praise the Lord.
we didn't get a
We're here.
podcast. We actually got the coach. Nobody, Joseph didn't say, "Hey, let's get on the podcast and discuss this."
It was a month ago,
Here we
man.
are with
Hey,
Dallas.
it was
Didn't even
Chris.
get a coach.
Hey, it was Christmas time, man. It just. Whoop. I think all of us thought it was a joke at first, and then you
Yeah,
never.
we'll hear a report about Belichick being tempted to go to Dallas too.
Yeah, he probably had that job if he wanted. All right, Adam, I want to hear. I'm gonna start off with the tough one here. Let's go Bills Ravens. What's your prediction?
First, what an incredible chance. I hope I get to watch that whole game because that's just going to be a great game. Whoever comes out of that game is who I hope wins the Super Bowl, unless it's Detroit. Um, man, Bills. I got to go
Ooh,
Josh Allen because I've been saying Josh Allen for 4 straight years. It's time. Let's do it. Same
yep.
thing for Lamar. I want him to win too.
Mm. John, let's go Chiefs Texans. Did the Texans have a shot or a blowout?
Oh no, the Chiefs they're gonna roll. They're rested. Stroud's gonna make mistakes. They're gonna roll. And I too would jump on the Bills with that. If
Yep.
Derrick Henry runs for over 150 yards, I would lean towards the Ravens.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Lions, Commanders. I'm gonna go Lions. Great story, but I don't think they necessarily have a shot. All right, Adam. College
Make sure you
playoff.
do. Make sure you do.
I will. I will.
Because one
will.
time you did.
One time I didn't. Yeah, I will. All right, Adam. We got the college football championship coming up. Got Ohio State versus Notre Dame, who look very, very good. Who are you taking?
First of all, I don't like this. I'm a Southerner, and we've got these two, up north teams, particularly the two that are the most loud about how they think they're better than anything that's not, in that region of the country. They have that complex, but I don't like Notre Dame, but I want Notre Dame to win. But I ultimately think Ohio State's going to win. And it's going to be one of those years where Michigan wins and then Ohio State wins, and it's just one of those things.
Yep. I agree. John, are you leaning the same way?
I wish there was a world in which both teams can lose.
Yeah.
That's where I feel about it, so I don't, maybe that rates my viewership or whatever. But
I like Rudy. I don't know if that helps you at
Oh,
all.
love Rudy.
sure,
Yep.
yeah, Rudy bumps it up quite a bit here. But honestly, aside from there's two teams that I think would stand before Ohio State in hatred, and that is the Duke University. That is the most I can't even say the word here without getting us censored off. Team in all the land. I mean, I don't know how you cheer for the devil, and then you got the Kentucky Wildcats. John Calipari leaving, maybe my hatred has cooled just a little bit. But third behind them is the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I think with Ohio, because it's like football, this is the only time it's been relevant or whatever. But for me, it's like man, you kick around a bunch of crummy teams. You come in, you talk about how great you are. You push a lot of players to the NFL. About half of them are really not that good. They don't come out. Quarterback group has been pretty atrocious. Try to avoid drafting Ohio State quarterbacks on the most part. But then they play Notre Dame, and Notre Dame lives as if it's 1970 and they're at their peak, and it's just a tough thing to watch. I will say I am excited that the SEC got thoroughly handed throughout the playoffs. I don't think I'm disappointed at that at all. I think not necessarily because I don't think they're good. I just think you have to balance that the NIL money and the transfer portal has
Yep.
actually leveled the field a lot closer than people are talking about. And I think it redirects some of the conversation. I'm not one of those that believes the SEC has been paying players all this time. I'm not trying to conspiracy theory, but I do think there's some teams with some money and some influence that are climbing into the ring, and so here they are.
Yep. Yep. I agree, and it'll be interesting seeing the second year. How does everybody adjust to the new 10-team playoff? How does everybody adjust to the new portal rules? And will the SEC be able to rebound? And so, for parity's sake, it's been nice. But definitely will be interesting. And if you're Belichick, though, you guys look pretty good. Clemson, I mean, they rebounded a little bit. But man, you guys play at Clemson next year. That'll be a game that I'll be looking forward to as the
Yeah, and
ACC.
I think we should mention like what you were just talking about, what we almost saw Arizona State do. It felt kind of like March Madness, and for the most part, the conversation about having a playoff of this many teams has been it's going to be a bloodbath between these Texases and Ohio States and these lower tier Power Five schools and even G5 schools. Man, that Arizona State, they took Texas to the very brink.
Yep.
And remember, we were talking about it. They were supposed to be last in the Pac-12, and that was their predicted, outcome of the season. So that was fun to watch. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the playoff. I think in general, everybody has enjoyed the new model. I see a few people saying, "Well, let's change it again," but no, I think it's been good. It was a good watch.
The only
I'm
thing I would
curious on the other side because I think the playoff is expanded, but it's made some of the bowl games a little bit more laughable or not watched. I wonder if they'll do something like a NIT kind of secondary playoff or something for some of those mid teams. I don't know if that would happen, but I think there would be a lot more interest if they were competing for something that's a little bit more important than the Duke's mayonnaise bowl where they're eating weird stuff on the side to keep people interested or putting toasters, Pop Tarts into a toaster. I mean, we're at that point, let's just call
Yep.
it what it is.
Yep. The only thing I would adjust is reseeding because I mean, if you look at the seeding, I mean, Oregon, the number one seed had the hardest path. Obviously, they had to play Ohio State, and then you got the best teams that are 7, 8, and you're getting some of these automatic bids from these teams that are totally less than, but just getting a higher seed because they won their conference championship. I think they might have to rethink that. But all in all, I've enjoyed the matchups. Being able to see a Tennessee go to an Ohio State or some of these conferences that never get to see each other has definitely been a good watch. So anyway, hey, let's shift gears to our ministry and really Christian living segment. And this segment isn't just for people in ministry, but for any Christians of that nature. And we want to have a little brief discussion, guys. I feel like, and again, we've talked about politics and how that affects the church. And so when we talk about this kind of post-Trump era, I'm not saying yay or nay, but it feels like in this post or this next Trump era, it feels, yesterday I was seeing Mark Zuckerberg come out and talk about how Facebook is taking all their censorship things away. And it almost feels like now that the elephant's out of the room, that the media networks and more liberal-leaning companies are kind of out of touch with everyday America. It seems like there's not as much tension to kind of share your free thoughts and to people, that might not be, for instance, a Trump fan, but that might be like, hey, I'm open for that, or that might not be as anti, or that maybe they're not as down with some of these social pushes that are very anti-Christian. And so I don't know about you guys, but I feel like you can really feel that in the water. But what I wanted to more so talk about is the fact that I feel like you're starting to see gospel, I'm not going to say gospel centered, but gospel conversations in secular public square circles. Whether that be, I know there's a lot of news out right now about Joe Rogan having an apologist, Wesley Huff, which I'd recommend. Go listen to the whole 3-hour thing. It's brilliant. He just walks Joe through the resurrection, walks him through the crucifixion on a scholarly and very Christ-like level. But not even just that. It's fascinating to see even some non-Christians or people that claim Christ talk about things of faith. And so I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on what do you make of this? From an evangelism standpoint, I think we really have an opportunity to maybe reach a new demographic, especially you guys being in a different region where I'm here in the Bible Belt, of where maybe people whose values might align with Christianity, even though their religion might not. It's almost as if they have an open ear toward, well, I like, you see Elon Musk talking about, well, I'm not a Christian, but I adhere and I agree with all of the teachings and principles of the Bible. And so I wanted to see if you guys are feeling this too, and what do you guys make of it? John, you want to go first?
Sure. I think what you're seeing a bit is the exhaustion of a postmodernity that's fragmented and falling apart. And if you follow the philosophy of that, then you end up in just nothingness and hopelessness. And I think as we push closer and closer to that line, I think people are identifying that line and just realizing, wait a second, there might be some more substance out there. And I think this Gen Z are open to the dialogue in a public sphere that allows some conversation about various faiths. Surely the adoption of some of those various faiths, because I think there's some that are Eastern mysticism or spirituality as well. So, but I think what's fascinating and fruitful for me is you have probably the largest generation in the U.S. that's growing up without at least to date, without growing up in a Christian home or growing up going to church. I think you have more now than ever before. And so now, you have people that are coming in with various ideologies that are interacting with the Christian faith for the first time in their 30s or, mid 20s. And they have very limited range of understanding of what that is. And so I think in some ways that's going to be fruitful because you're going to have the opportunity to have a healthy discussion without maybe church hurt or trauma or whatever that might have been endured historically. And I think you also have the pressure of some of the more radical Islamic folks that are pushing people away from that. And they're looking around, what's the other alternative? What's the other possibility? And Christianity is remaining here and fruitful and fervent and authentic faith. And so I think there's a lot of pressures coming in. And now I will say I think Joe Rogan experience or whatever is an opportunity to cast seed in places maybe that it hadn't been cast for. But I'm still a staunch believer that the reason that the church is established is because these people that are wrestling with matters of faith or even coming to faith need to live an authentic community where they see someone not only adopt a philosophy intellectually or adopt a belief system intellectually, they need to see how this changes and transform their lives within the relationships that are around them. And I think that that's something where a podcast or something is never going to reach to. So it's good at relaying the information, but I think the difficulty is they're going to have to find authentic community. They need to stumble into a church, a healthy church that equips the saints and preaches the gospel and lives in community and does the things that it does well.
That's an interesting perspective. Adam, where's your mind take you?
That was very, very well said. And he started with what I was going to start with the postmodernity. We have run into the brick wall of depravity. And there's a suddenness, there's a jolt in society. I can't help but feel like just in the span of larger history that we're kind of living in right now is the COVID era, the social media stuff, a lot of the racial division, a lot of the introduction of these radical new ideas into society, and in many ways touching every part of society down to a box of Oreos at Walmart. I mean, it's everywhere. There's a jolt that even the non-Christians or the interested in spirituality and religion have felt, and it's caused them to go looking for what is true, for what is meaningful, logical, for what gives a sense of purpose to their life. Like John said, community. What does this mean for my family, my unit that God has me in? And so I think, sometimes when a society starts drifting so far in one direction as we have been, there are like little points throughout that time of that decline where, there's a spiritual awakening, there's a revival, there's a lot of people coming to Jesus, there's a new Jesus movement, whatever it may be. And I think, wow, what an opportunity for the church.
Mm-hmm.
So we just launched the 3-year evangelism / outreach mission strategy to reach the 3 miles within our church. And I'm saying the same things that we're talking about.
Mm.
People want the truth. And I think just in general, the church has that opportunity to reach those people. We've got to be wise in how we do it and never water down the gospel or compromise in any way. But at the same time, what an opportunity.
Mm.
What an opportunity.
One of the concepts that I've come to a lot lately, and I think sometimes in the church's effort to be missional, sometimes we skip over the pre-evangelism. And I think this could be a good, whether it be something in the public square, opening their minds up, where you see some of these people like Joe Rogan, just for instance, 2-3 years ago, it was, oh, the resurrection, the Bible's a hoax, it's a myth. Well, now you've got some people at least making him look in the mirror and ask the question. And so I think what you're seeing is people that would have never considered Christianity say, okay, let me double back here. And even in my own life, people that I have tried to evangelize to, maybe sometimes I was a little bit ahead of where they were. And I think sometimes in our life on mission, trying to reach and make disciples, we have to take a pre-evangelism perspective. And I think, Adam, you're right. I think this is a cultural, it gives kind of the vibe of just culture in and of itself. And so being mindful in our relationships, where somebody before you're like, oh, they're not a Christian, I never even would have went there. Maybe the Lord has some inner working that would open their mind up to that. And
Right.
so for some of these relationships, it might not happen overnight, but it might be a few years, and that seed is planted and softening of the soil. And so
Yeah.
I think now more than ever, and I love what y'all are doing up there with your mission strategy, but I think churches as a whole, training our churches to be a life on mission body and looking for opportunities now more than ever and getting specific about it. I think the more with Gen Z, they don't understand the principles or the basics. So little things like sharing your faith, how to lead somebody to the Lord. Churches need to revisit making sure your church has a firm understanding of the gospel, making sure it's a right gospel, not a self-centered gospel or a prosperity gospel or things like that. And so anyway, I feel like coming out of, like you said, coming out of the post-COVID, the post-election, there's just a freshness. I feel like some of that tension has just been let out of the room. And what a time to be alive, and what a time to lead the church. And so anyway, guys, I've enjoyed our conversation today. We'll be back in a few weeks. We will hopefully be getting ready for a Super Bowl. We will be coming at you every other Tuesday. You guys have a great day, fellas. We'll see you in a few weeks.